Hey, before today's episode of Same Business, Different Day, I want to invite you to listen to Velocity, the Vista Chamber podcast, where we interview the movers, shakers, and changemakers of Vista, California. Watch Velocity on YouTube or tune in on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. Velocity, moving Vista forward.
It's the relationships you build along the way.
That's right.
Because you can, you may have one thing one day and then down the road you'd be like, hey, good to see you again. What are you doing now? And you're like doing something totally, completely different. Mm-hmm. But you've established that relationship. Mm-hmm. And now you may be in the position to help one another.
That's right.
So don't close your doors all the way. Keep them halfway open because you never know who's going to step through it again.
Same business, different day.
Good afternoon and welcome back to the Same Business, Different Day podcast. I'm your host, Zeke, recording from the New Look studio here at the Film Hub in Vista, California. Yep, we're in the process of upgrading the vibe around here, and I hope you all love it. Hashtag Meraki season rolls on, and it has been exciting to interview some amazing business leaders, all branching from one networking event in October 2021. I didn't get to meet today's guest that night, but the birthday boy himself, Mo Cisse, personally referred me to have him on our show. William is visiting from San Diego, but his reach globally is as impactful as it is locally. We are happy to welcome William Peetoom to the Same Business, Different Day podcast. Welcome, William.
Thank you so much, Zeke. It's a pleasure to be here.
I really appreciate it, man. I mean,
appreciate you.
I feel like this is our second interview because we've kind of just been getting to know each other this whole time. Yeah. I mean, we should have recorded the whole thing, But so let's go back to the beginning, though, right? Because the format of this show is kind of we tell the whole story, right?
Sure.
We want to start from where it all started from now, and then we'll get into what you do today. Mm-hmm. So get me into the timeline. I'm wondering now, are you born and raised in California?
Well, what happened was, so my mother's an immigrant from the Philippines, and my father was Navy.
Okay.
So I come from that type of family core and structure here in San Diego, born and raised. My siblings are from the Philippines, but I was lucky enough to be a local here in San Diego.
In San Diego.
Okay. So I've watched the city ebb and flow from the 70s to the current date.
Yeah. You and I were just talking just before we started right now about influence, right? Being a big brother to folks, an OG, some might say, right? Mm-hmm. How about influences that you can think of in those early years of your life? Folks that maybe, we didn't necessarily call them mentors back then, but people that you looked up to and people that had influence in any positive ways.
Well, I come from a latchkey family structure also. So my parents divorced early on, and I found myself gravitating towards families that had that structure that I longed for. Okay. And, after school, I found myself at the Boys and Girls Club, kept me off the streets. Mm-hmm. And there it was instrumental that those older peers that were watching over us were really big, significant influences to me. Mm-hmm. I found myself playing judo at the age of 6 because I just enjoyed the sport. I took it all the way to Junior Olympics, but finding a path that had discipline and judo with a Japanese philosophy behind it really was instilled in me. So I was somewhat a practicing Buddhist from my childhood. And so as I grew older, it always stuck with me. The discipline has always stayed with me, honoring your elders and your parents and just having respect was very important. So for those that I saw that had success, I tried to emulate. And I gravitated to those community members that were very supportive and I felt safe around. In school, it was the counselors, because those are the ones that are extending their hand out to you and just checking in, where are you? Where do you want to go? And here's the path to get there.
Yeah.
So not any one in particular, but it was more of a communal effort, a collective effort that really helped elevate me.
But that's good, right? Because what you're really doing is you're paying attention. You're paying attention
absolutely.
to your whole community around you, and you're feeling and figuring out how a community can help one grow. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
You set your roots there. I like that. I also like what you're saying about judo and just even sports in general, right? Because there's community there as well, right? I know it's a one-on-one type sport, but yet, you're learning the discipline. You're getting that information from your teachers, but you've got other classmates or other folks around. Right?
It's an individual sport, but collectively as a team.
Right. Yeah. That's how I was with track and field for me.
Right.
Yeah.
So you actually are a big link in the chain. So did you want to be the weakest link in the chain? No, not so much. So you did your part, right?
Sure.
So independently, I always strived for perfection and overachiever, and just thought that the more discipline that I can influence whatever it was that I was practicing, I'd come out on top.
Yeah. Now that being an overachiever, was that something were you pushing yourself, or was there someone pushing you?
No, I think I realized early on that the opportunities were stacked against me, and so I would have to try even harder than the average person. And so it was always kind of like, even though you knew what it took to be number one, you had to even go even further, because there's always someone right behind you ready to take your place.
It's like the jump from behind the line philosophy, like Jesse Owens. Yeah. Now, how did you because that's it. Very interesting to me what you're saying now, where you realized early on that the odds were stacked against you. How did you realize that? Where there's like anything specific that kind of just opened your eyes to seeing that?
So early on, being a latchkey kid, you're exposed to a lot of potential predators, if you can say. I'll be totally transparent. I'm one of those children who were abused. My mom had dated someone who came home from Vietnam, and so violence in the home was just crazy. And so I often stayed out of the house because I didn't want to be around it. Fortunately, I lived in Imperial Beach, so I got to go down to the beach. And by the time I woke up to the time the sun went down, I'd be at the beach, but not everyone is as fortunate. But my home life as a child, it was very violent and very disturbing. Wow. And so, that was, one of the key factors in really knowing, you got to do for yourself. Yeah. As my daughter would say, you do you. Yeah. And so you just start picking up the signs and you just start seeing more clear sometimes as to what needs to get done for yourself. And so I've always been very independent, and as you realize how many people have helped you on the way, now I come full circle, and now it's about giving back.
Yeah. I love it, man. I love it. And like I said, and we were talking earlier, like, right, about the purpose of the show, right, and inspiring other entrepreneurs, having people understand that, you know, they may see some parallels in their own lives. And so we give some good messages, right? There are folks who had trouble in school. There are folks who were bullied. There are folks who were abused. There are folks, you know, there's so many, you know, so much there.
So many layers, yeah.
And you still, you know, can not only make a difference for yourself in life, but like you just finished up with that sentence, which is that you can also give back. You know what I'm saying? And
Absolutely.
reach back to the folks that were also are still affected in that way. I really like this, and also like one of my favorite things is young folks being perceptive. You know, understanding their surroundings, understanding that the odds are stacked against them, and, you know, what they have to do, making a plan to make things move and get out of there.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily had a plan,
Sure.
but it was more intuitive. I knew if I wanted something or a better life or to be in a particular space, you had to work for it. Because I didn't have the mentorship guiding me from my family saying, this is what you got to do, A, B, C, follow the bouncing ball. No, I was very observant and saw, and which, you know, left me kind of a black sheep because I wasn't given the handouts, you know, but I was more so given a hand up. And it was like, here's the way to do it. And you got to do it on your own. And no one's going to do it for you.
Right.
So what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. Yeah. And so, you know, life takes its course. It ebbs and flows, and, you know, you get, you know, knocked off your path here and there. But as long as you keep your eye on the target, you know, things can push you off course, but you'll still navigate back on course. It's like following the North Star. You know, you could be pushed off course, but if you find that North Star in your life, you just keep following it, you know, you're going in the right direction.
Yeah. I love it, man. So what about more about the early school years?
Yeah, so early on in school, man, you know, as I said, you know, I didn't have the parental supervision, so I was running amok. I was having a good time. I was, you know, living life and staying out late, and, you know, and I was picked up by a local program from the junior college called EOPS, and that's Extended Opportunities Programs and Services. Look, I still remember.
Love it.
So they would do outreach to high-risk youth students that never would have thought they would go to college. And so they picked me up, got me into college. I went to an early summer program, got me really excited right out of high school that, hey, maybe I can go to college. Hey, maybe I can do this. And so then I you know, got immersed into the junior college life. I became a peer counselor, got even more involved with helping others. And as you know, helping others, you're really helping yourself.
Right.
And then from the EOPS program, I got into being a peer advisor in the financial aid department. So there you start learning all the loopholes of financial aid.
Okay.
And it was like, okay, I got this. Well, maybe we can graduate or transfer to a bigger school. So I was in programs to transfer me to Stanislaus, to Berkeley. I even got accepted to Point Loma Nazarene. I was so excited. But then, as I mentioned, you know, that was back in the day was when the budget cuts hit and financial aid was slashed. So then what do? You know, you just brush yourself off, pick yourself up, and, you know, take what you can. So I ended up going to LA, and there my college career started and opened my eyes to the big metropolitan city of Los Angeles.
Yeah, you were Cal State Northridge, right?
Cal State Northridge, Matadors, and even there, I felt like a small fish in a big pond.
Okay.
And then rushing a fraternity, I never thought me being in a fraternity, my people aren't in fraternities, you know? And so I ended up joining a fraternity, which was probably one of the most instrumental acts that I could have done for my college career, because it really taught me brotherhood, how to get along with other people. It taught me, you know, how important scholarship was and education, and, you know, just it was a surrogate family, if you will. So again, I adopted and became resilient to my circumstances.
I love it. The Film Hub is the future of co-working in downtown Vista. Get energized in an inspiring work environment that is built for your success. With multiple membership options for workspace and private offices, you can become a part of our co-working community. The Film Hub makes it easier to produce the professional content your business needs. From video production, live streams, photo shoots, or in-person events, you can create all this and more in our audio and video facilities. Love your work and where you accomplish it. The Film Hub. When it comes to your wedding, you want to look and feel your best. You don't need to settle for anything less than perfection on the most important day of your life. With Meraki Allure, you can have a custom-designed and measured wedding dress that is exactly what you imagine. They will work with you to choose the perfect style and materials so you can enjoy your dream wedding day knowing that you look stunning. Let Meraki Allure help make your special day unforgettable. Book your consultation today at MerakiAllure.com. That's MERAKIALLURE.com. Thank you for tuning in to the Same Business Different Day podcast. If you like the way that our show sounds and looks and are interested in doing a podcast of your own, send us an email. Yes, we've gotten into the podcast game, producing podcasts for individuals and businesses just like you. Contact us at adifferentdayradio@gmail.com or on IG at adifferentdayradio. I love it. Now, just before you get to college, did you have an idea what you wanted to be? And then, if not, at what point did you kind of figure out?
I often people say, oh, I want to be a firefighter. I want to do this. I want to do that, whatever. And I just, growing up, I just said, you know what? I just want to be of value. I want to be someone that people come to in their time of need and I can help them. I didn't know what that would look like. It wasn't money driven. I actually started out political science because I was so involved in nonprofits, and I felt at that point, I should get involved with nonprofits because they'd help me so much. So I need to help them. But then you start learning about nonprofits and political science and the lifestyle that I wanted, I wasn't going to attain. So then you start making adjustments here and there. And then I got into the mortgage business.
Now, was that during school as well?
During school.
Okay, so that was a job during
My former wife and college sweetheart actually worked for Countrywide back in the day. Before 2008. And so we were working at Countrywide together, and I was on the trading floor and studying for my Series 7 and 62, and thought I was going to be in the financial world, and but the funny thing, even then I didn't feel like I fit in because there was big money there,
but it wasn't home for you.
It wasn't home, and it was money driven, and I looked at the broker dealers on the desk, and man, they were so not healthy. And they were a slave to their commission, and they had their trophy wife coming in and picking up their credit card to spend all the money that they worked so hard for, and then if they didn't meet their quota, oh my gosh, they would have ulcers, they would be depressed. And I was like, I do not want to go travel down this road.
So much different than a nonprofit
they got
sector.
the big homes in Topanga and, living at large, but, some things are a bit more important than just looking expensive.
Ooh, I like it. It might be one of the business lessons. I like that a lot. Okay, so you actually worked your way through college.
Yes.
Okay, and how difficult was that? What was that like? I mean, because not everybody can pull that off. Some folks work smaller jobs too. You were actually working a corporate job.
Yeah. So again, if you don't make your grades, you're not going to be there. Simple as that. And being a part of a fraternity, they also were that surrogate mentorship that helped you get through it all because, once I joined my fraternity, it wasn't like I was on my own anymore. I had a whole surrogate family of brothers, and they're like, okay, you're making grades? Because if you don't make a grade, you're out of the fraternity too.
School,
and it's like you didn't want to lose all your brothers, you know, and you didn't want to lose all that you put into school just because you're off going to some party or something. I mean, really, there's more important things.
Yeah.
You know, so you mature really quick and you really kind of prioritize what needs to be done, when and where.
I like that. I really do. So, you know, because it's really interesting to me that you were working a legitimate corporate job during school and were able to navigate through that. So you probably picked out some good lessons, though, too, other than the lessons of you didn't want to be like those guys that were, you know, the head of the company and all. But there had to be some good things that you could pick up because you're actually getting real world experience at the same time. It's something that you still made.
I learned to talk money.
Okay.
That's a whole language in itself that we are not prone to.
Sure.
So when people say, oh, yeah, I'm about, you know, educating, empowering financial literacy, I get it. Because I had no idea what compounding interest was and the rule of 72 and infinity banking. I mean, people listening to this probably like, oh, let me Google that.
Yeah, me too.
Google it, please, because you'll learn something.
Sure.
You know, and these are the types of money concepts that aren't taught in everyday family structures. You know, you got to come from money to hear this lingo, you know. And so I was very blessed to even get a taste of, you know, that type of community because early on I had no idea, but it really planted the seed that you got to know how money works. And money, if positioned correctly, can work for you. And money is just a tool.
Right.
You know, and if you don't know how to sharpen up that tool, it's a blunt object and it's not going to get you anywhere.
Right.
So know the tools in your toolbox, know how to use them and make sure they're sharp and batteries are charged and you got all the pieces that, you know, you need to plug in. Otherwise you're dead in the water.
Now, after Northridge, did you go to continued education right away, or did you?
Well, funny thing happened.
Okay, back to what happened. What
happened was, you know, L.A. is a beast of a city, and we were having fun being club promoters and doing. You know, it was like, yes, we went to school, but on the weekends. Friday night, you know, it was on. So I was a club promoter, and my former wife was, she had a company of girls that would entertain the clubs. And so we partnered up and we had a really good time. Long story short, we ended up pregnant.
Okay.
So my baby girl was born, and that was a big reality check too. So I really didn't finish my college years.
Okay.
Because I had to go to work.
Right.
You know, and so and life takes its course, and things happen, and you know, life goes on, and family first. You got to take care of your family, and so you know, working a job and going to school and now parenting on top of that, it's not for everybody. You know, so I had, you know,
especially not at your age. I mean, at the age that you were.
Yeah. So, you know, you really prioritize what's going on, and school just didn't make the cut.
Sure.
You know, we're not as blessed. We weren't as blessed as we are today, where everything's at your fingertips. You know, so going back to my roots and just identifying, you know, those opportunities that I can gravitate towards to make a difference. So, you know, so I just started, you know, pouring into my career, my work, until, you know, the downfall of 2008.
Yeah.
You know, those life circumstances really wake you up, because now you lost your job. You know, if you're all not familiar, 2008 was a huge recession, and Countrywide actually led that whole
That's
downfall.
where you were, Countrywide.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I took some time off. I actually ended up moving back to San Diego. I always move back to San Diego when as they say,
not the worst place
shit
to be.
hits the fan. Where you go home to your family, where it's comfortable and just regroup, lick your wounds and set a new course.
Sure. But you still have the same focus. You knew you were going the right direction. You just had to take
from my early years, I knew I was always going up.
Right.
So I'm still going up, just which direction?
Yes, you are. Yeah.
So how do I want to get there now? It's just a different vehicle.
Yeah. But you continue, like I said, though, education-wise, you continued on. You got back into it, and now you're teaching. Basically, you're teaching us here too. Yeah. But so it's time for the reveal. Let's get into it. Okay. William Peetoom is the founder of Kaizen Group International, a business development and consulting agency that has helped businesses from a wide range of industries with marketing, promotions, and growth since 2007. If you want to know about tax incentives due to you, you want to talk to William. If you're looking to increase cash flow and profit growth, go see William. When you want to have a conversation about building communities and diverse businesses, or even the power of networking, William Peetoom is your guy. His wide breadth of knowledge, ambition, and extended reach are exactly why we wanted to have William here on our show. So once again, we welcome this multi-dimensional entrepreneur, Mr. William Peetoom.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to meet that guy. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, man. I'm happy to meet you, really. And like I said, even before the show, we were talking so much because it's so interesting, right? Now, there's plenty that I just talked about, and there's so many layers to peel back here because multidimensional it's so, like, it's one of the first things I think about when I'm talking to you, when I'm thinking about what it is that you do, and even researching before that. I think it's amazing the fact that you're not, like you said, don't put me in a box. You know what I'm saying? First of all, there's got to be a lot of balance there in order to do that, right? You have to have a good ability to multitask, but at the same time, have multiple interests and be willing to help, in every direction, no matter where it's coming from. And so I'm really impressed by that, So let's get back into the story. Now, was going off on your own, doing your own thing, always the plan? Did you think you might work for somebody?
Oh, no. We're all conditioned to, go to school so you can get a good job. And what's a job? Just over broke. But then you end up broke, busted, and disgusted. And so early on, after you trip a couple times, you realize, this isn't working for me. And then you start seeing all these entrepreneurs take off. After the stint with the financial industry, I moved into the .com world, where we were seeing startups just scaling exponentially 10x. They create an app, they create a website, this, that, and the other. And it was just amazing exposure that this 20-year-old can, come up with an idea, take it to market. Now he's a millionaire.
Right.
Who does that?
Right.
I looked around, I was like, not in my family, not my community.
Yeah.
But now it is.
Yeah.
Because it was those people in the .com era that really planted the seed for entrepreneurs to share and show that this can happen for you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. I was up there in the Bay Area around those booms, and kind of seeing a lot of that. And it was mind blowing. I always wanted to be one of those guys, of course. And we created, like, my first business I started back when I was 17. So whatever year that was, right? And it was called Cybertize Business Systems. It was with a group of guys out of Silicon Valley. And we were the first to put music videos and things on websites, because I was in the music industry at that time, right? So I worked with record labels, I worked at the radio station, and I'm like, let's do the playlist, let's put the music videos up there and everything. And so, but one of the things that I didn't figure out, like these other guys figured out, was how to copyright you and trademark your thing. So
yeah, that was Napster days.
yeah, the record labels were like, this can be done? Okay, I'll go get my guy to do it. So I thought I was going to be the guy. I flew all the way around the country presenting this, and they were like, thank you for the information. Yeah, so, but we had a great idea, and there was a way that it could have been successful, but I wish I was one of those guys in that .com boom. I'd still be here talking to you, though, because, I'm still the same guy. Wonderful. So now, I said the Kaizen Guru. Now, tell me what's in the name. Kaizen.
So as I mentioned, Japanese culture was instilled in me at a very young age. Mm-hmm. And then life takes its course. Circumstances happen. And then it wasn't until I was in college that I discovered the book Awaken the Giant Within from famous author Tony Robbins. Mm-hmm. So Tony Robbins talked about a concept called KANAI, constant, always, never-ending improvement, which is actually Kaizen. So Kaizen is a Japanese philosophy that they used in manufacturing the Toyota vehicles back in the day. And so understanding, that concept and the idea that, Kaizen philosophy is really kind of assessing and measuring where you are, taking a snapshot of the current state of affairs. Mm-hmm. Where can you make an improvement and then move forward? Mm-hmm. Rather than the old school mentality of get the biggest bang for your buck now, we'll fix it later. Right. With that mindset, you're never going to get momentum because you're taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Had you done it right the first time, you wouldn't be expending so much time, money, and effort trying to fix something.
Right.
So it really made an impression on me. And I said, when I was kicking around the name for my company, I said, I want something that's going to remind me of perseverance and dedication and my foundation. And so Kaizen really, resonated with me. So I put it in my company name to always remind me that things are not permanent. Mm-hmm. Nothing stays the same. And that take an assessment, measure where you're at, and then figure out where can you make some changes that are favorable.
That's awesome. That's what I'm really picking up from that is actually looking in the mirror, right? Doing some research on yourself. Mm-hmm. Sure, it's important in all, business plans is to know your competition and all. Do that research to find out where everybody else is growing, but at least really look deep into yourself. You don't see a lot of businesses, and I know you're business consulting, which is one of the many hats, is that a lot of folks, they just say, that's what they're doing, let's add that to our repertoire. But what's going on in your current repertoire that either can be taken out or should be changed, and then you keep growing that way. I love what you're saying, man.
Or reinforced.
Yeah.
And it also, if they can apply this to an industry, can't we apply this to everything in our life? And can't we apply this to ourselves?
Sure.
So that really allowed me to take an assessment of myself.
Right.
And what are my strengths and what are my weaknesses and what can I do now to make it better?
Yeah. Love it. Speaking of industry, you work with a lot of industries, right? You're not even finding that box there where it's like I only kind of target in this direction or that direction. What's the thought process behind just being so here to help everyone?
Well, so healthcare and taking care of people is in my DNA. So I'm half Filipino, half Dutch, and we dominate as nurse providers, caregivers, and so growing up, I've always been around that also as well. So my passion industry is geriatric and elder care. So I've always been around older people and understood they need help, they need care. So come full circle, when I started my own company, I actually started working with a lot of ancillary services that supported the elder and senior care communities. So I did business development for a mobile physical therapy company for about 8 years, learned how to open up territories from San Diego all the way up to Sacramento, then out to Dallas, Texas. Now I'm focused on blue zones and helping the quality of life thrive for those that are living beyond 100 years of age. So I work with the independent living, assisted living, memory care centers, post-acute hospitals. A lot of these communities have older adults that need help, and so it allows me with my business development to vet companies that I know are quality and share that with these hospitals and communities so that they're getting the quality service that is needed. Because in this industry, I often don't call it the healthcare industry, but more of the compassion industry.
Okay.
Because you got to have compassion in this industry in order for it to work. Because if you're money driven, it'll show. People, they're very transparent when it comes to that. So it takes a special type of person to be in this industry, and I just happen to be one of those. So as my career evolved, understanding elder communities, I trained to be a ombudsman, which advocates for the resident. I have a license as a RCFE, residential care provider, so I could run a facility also as well, but I know the business side as well. Yeah. And so it just kind of stuck with me. And with my chamber, with the Filipino American Chamber, we have now completed the 4th year working with District Attorney Summer Stephan on a forum of elder crime and elder abuse. So not only am I bringing to the forefront quality products and services for our community or elder community to utilize for better quality life, but there's a social responsible aspect to it also as well, because human trafficking is so high here. Elder crime and elder abuse is so prevalent. We need other eyes and ears, and we need to get our finger on the pulse of what's happening where and who's doing what, and what are the resources to help the process.
I love this, man. And I really,
Hello, I'm William Peetoom, founder and president of Kaizen Group International, a San Diego-based business development company to support your bottom line. We specialize in recovering research and development tax incentives and reducing your energy utility cost expense. We advocate for your IRS cash rebates and credits, and we minimize the cost expense risk and increase your profit gain. Feel free to contact me directly through LinkedIn, and direct calls are always encouraged. Your success is our business. Thank you so much.
The Vista Chamber of Commerce is a proud supporter of the Same Business, Different Day podcast. We support our business members with promotion and marketing, business referrals, educational opportunities, workforce development, and advocacy. Check us out online at vistachamber.org.
I was going to save that for later, but you brought it up. When we speak about community, right, and we speak about diversity too, which is another one of those aspects that you really focus on. One of the things that I picked up on was you being a founding member of the Filipino Chamber of Commerce. Now, so I understand the Filipino Chamber of Commerce Business Network is the new is how we're naming it now, right? It's the new
correct. So we're harnessing technology, so our reach is much greater. We understand that by harnessing technology, we could utilize platforms such as LinkedIn and Facebook, which has been so important to the expansion. Filipino Chamber has really been instrumental in my career development also as well, because community is so important to me. When I did reestablish myself in San Diego, I really didn't want to start something new and fresh. And it was much easier just to kind of look around at the low-hanging fruit and start with what you have on the table. And that was with the people that looked like me, sound like me, shared same values, same food, same culture, and then from there, it's just kind of blossomed into what it is today, with the U.S. Chamber, and then we also have a global coalition of business owners really perpetuating the import and export of products from the Philippines.
You're bringing a lot of people together. You're saying this lightly, but this is a big deal, right? And I said it at the beginning of the show also, you're not just a local guy. You're a global guy. And you're making an impact globally, and that's just such a wonderful thing to see. I
think with the development of technology and what we have at our disposal, we are no longer tethered geographically to one local region. We're now global citizens,
right?
So what does that look like?
Yeah,
so the infrastructure is the internet, and then you have to start really kind of tapping into what are the networks that are going to connect, so that you can make an impact.
Yeah. And so you do have this technology and marketing background. Where did that all come from? What is it?
Oh, I've been playing on the internet since it was called Mosaic.
Oh, okay.
Way back when there wasn't any color monitors, we had a green and orange cursor blinking at you. But I always was intrigued by technology. If there was a stereo system in front of me, I'd be pushing those buttons to figure out what it did. So I just like to tinker with technology, and now there's so much to play with all the new apps and development that's available. It's quite overwhelming now. Well, it's really tough because it's now becoming a tsunami of technology coming at you. You got TikTok out there, you got Instagram. I mean, I had my daughter reminding me, Papa, Facebook's for old people. And I'm like, yeah, I am. Sure. She's like, but get with the program. And so I actually started, making reels on Instagram and I'm looking at TikTok's performance for business. I mean, people are just killing it on TikTok. Right. And so it's like, okay, here's another vehicle to really bring to market whatever that product or service is. And for me, it's always, how can I make an impact with my clients, bottom line. And so harnessing technology using these different platforms, then they get the exposure, they get the branding awareness, they get the publicity, the marketing, it all comes full circle because that's where the customers are now.
Right. Yeah. And that's a value add.
And if you're not on the platform, you're dead in the water. You're 100%. Not even you don't even have a seat at the table.
That's right. That's right. Tell me about the thought process. You had mentioned earlier before we started, redemption energy. I'm interested in the thought process that you were going into when you made that partnership.
So I'm very blessed to be partnering with Emmett Summers, who is founder of Redemption Energy, which is a solar company. My platform has now pivoted to basically helping companies grow, expand, and develop. So my primary focus is on tax incentives, but secondary, which is the second largest expense for any business, is their utility bill. And so wanting to do my part with the carbon footprint, how can I help commercial properties become independent and in control of their energy utility? So now we're able to put sensors in a facility so that we can monitor from a handheld device or a tablet where there's energy leakage. So we can, as I was mentioning, we can share if there's been a refrigerator door opened all night, and what do they need to do to prevent that from happening again? So maybe, the lock is faulty, or, we need to put a sticker to remind someone that you need to push a little harder on the door to latch. It's taking the energy utility control from a bird's eye view, because now you're seeing all the outcomes, the outputs of where your energy is going, and do you need to be spending energy in that direction? So we come in, we take a couple snapshots of the facility, look at what the HVAC system looks like, the heating, air conditioning, and ventilation, and then what are the utility, or what is the machinery that is using the utility, and how can we decrease that usage so that the cost is less, and it becomes more profit than an expense.
I like it. I mean, obviously, we all need it, right? It would just burn energy, and a lot of us, it becomes wasteful at a certain point, right? And you're showing folks how they can get it back, get some of that back.
Sure. Right? So with technology, Tesla is one of them. They've created batteries where you can actually store the energy you get from the solar panels. And if you reach the threshold of a peak hour that your utility company sets, you then can automatically switch to your stored energy that you've harnessed yourself, rather than paying a premium on the energy that they're giving you from that utility company.
Yeah.
It's just such a yes-brainer, right?
Yeah, yes-brainer.
Take control of your energy. Take control of your taxes. Utilize those tax loopholes and tax credits and government opportunities, because you can turn a company around just by redirecting your cash flow and cost expense back into your company, so you could expand, develop, and grow.
Right. Tell us more about that, because I know that's one of your primary focuses as well, is the tax incentives, or the money that gets left on the table.
Sure. So for those that aren't aware, tax incentives is not a new thing. We did see light being shown on tax incentives during this pandemic when people got the stimulus. So that's a government mandated program that stimulates the economy. Now, back in '81, when Reagan was president, we had companies leaving the U.S. going overseas because it was more cost effective for them to set up shop in Southeast Asia.
Right.
But then more and more companies were leaving the U.S., leaving unemployment at an all-time high.
Right.
So how do we stop the hemorrhage of jobs going overseas? Well, the easiest, fastest, biggest way to impact a company is give them back their money. They're paying a lot of taxes. So incentivize them to be more innovative, right? So every administration has adopted this program through the years, through the different administrations. And it wasn't until the Obama administration taking office that they really made this a permanent program. So Obama's administration made this a congressional mandated law that if you fit the criteria for R&D tax incentives through cash rebates and credits, you're privy to up to 50% of the taxes you're paying. So when I hear people leaving California because of the taxes, I say, we need to have a conversation.
Right.
Because the people I talk to change their mind. The people I talk to learn that the R&D credits and cash rebates and credits available for them are now cutting their tax expense in half.
Wow.
Because these people don't want to leave California.
Sure.
But they don't want to pay high taxes. So if I can help in that regard, I'm making much more impact on our community and keeping jobs here in California as well as in the U.S. So it's a national program. There are 9 states that don't have state income tax, but they are still available to receive federal funding. And so research and development is not just test tubes, lab beakers, and laboratories. It could be in healthcare, taking care of the patient. You're measuring the assessment of their daily skills. So anything measured can be managed, and anything managed can grow. So I look at companies that have the ability to scale. If your company was the same as it was last year and it's going to look the same next year, there's probably not much innovation there. But if I can infuse a company with $100,000 to $200,000 and you can grow, that's the sweet spot. We want to find those companies that have the ability to grow so that they can scale and be even more competitive and contribute to our national economy.
I love it, man. Okay, so let's lighten it up a little bit. We'll talk a little bit about another one of your expertises, which is networking. Just from researching you and even from just talking to you, I can see that you've got a passion for not just community, at large, but having a community of folks that you can powwow with, have conversations with, and refer. Just figure out what it is that they do so that you can help them, as you say, givers gain. So I'm just kind of interested in like how you see networking when you step into a room.
Networking is I gamify it.
Okay.
And so it's kind of like, in meeting people in networking groups and through events, it's not about you.
Right.
It's about the person you're meeting and how much information can I get from this person so that now I can connect the dots. Because then as they're talking, I'm going through my mental Rolodex saying, oh my God, they got to meet Moses. Oh, they got to meet Zeke. Oh, they got to meet this person and that person because you do what exactly they're looking to do, or they can help you, whatever. Right. So it's really fun to connect people that can make an impact because that's where the magic is. That's you go into a situation not knowing this person, and then you understand what they do or what they can help with, and then you introduce them to a key individual, and then you hear the story afterwards because now they're partnering or they're doing business together or they're just working on a project that's amazing. And then you sit back and you're like, yeah,
I did that.
I hope. I was a catalyst for that.
Yeah. And that's payment in itself.
Yes. We're helping in the progression, because you can only do so much marketing, but networking, word of mouth, the exchange of energy, and just increasing your business community through a network is amazing. So we often say your net worth equals your network.
That's right.
You're the average of the 5 people that you hang out with.
Yeah.
So, be mindful of who you're spending your time with,
right?
And what networking groups you belong to, because that networking group may be a networking group, but what is the caliber of that group? How can they elevate you?
I love it. And, we talk a lot about networking on the show. I do a lot of networking, but to me, it's really important to be around the right folks, but also to help them. Be involved, right? Volunteer, spend your time working with, but also try to figure out what it is that they need and putting those together. I kind of gamify it too, which is funny that you said that because I play a memory game. So when I'm running around the room, remember the old game where it used to be colors? It was like 5-6 colors on it, and you press one. It was a child's game, a toddler's game, and it would go yellow, red, blue, whatever. And then hit yellow again, and you have to hit yellow, and it'd be like, yeah, you got it right. And so now you're matchmaking, right? And so that's the way that I work a room. It's just like I just heard who you need to connect with, just in our conversation just now. So let me bring you guys together. Bam. Now you're together. Now I'm going to go over here and work this side of the room and figure out what. And so that's the way that I play the networking.
Yeah, when you're networking, you don't want to spend a whole lot of time with these people. When you're working a room, gamify it. And if you go with a partner, don't start out together.
Right.
Say, you know what? I'm going to start on this side of the room. You start on that side of the room, and then we'll meet in the middle, and then we'll compare notes.
Right. I like it. Okay. So now you guys are clearly understanding and listening and learning about why this gentleman here, William Peetoom, is such a great speaker, and why folks would want to bring him around just for some good public speaking and some knowledge and information. So, but you also used to, and it makes sense now, you used to have an internet radio show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You might
I'm
come
guilty.
in and can you guest host for me every once in a while if I need somebody?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I was instrumental in the .com days, and we were selling dial-up internet back in the day. And there was so much technology coming down the pipeline. And we was like, how do we get in front of this? And the power of the press pass. So we started a news radio show called Live Online News. So Live Online News was simulcast AM talk radio, KCEO, and the internet. And we talked to Meg Whitman before eBay is what it is today. We talked about the Palm Pilot before handheld devices hit the street. Talked about how to automate your hotel reservations through, hotels.com. So it was just disrupting the way we did things, and it was very, very exciting. And so the radio show was
You think about bringing that back?
Quite a highlight. We are in the works of bringing on a show.
Love it.
And we have a whole list of ideas coming down the pipeline.
That's great.
But having a podcast and interviewing people, that's the probably quickest, fastest way you could learn from an individual about a particular product or service or community or industry.
Sure.
And you build relationships that way also. And that's what business is. Business isn't about your widget. Business isn't about how much money you made. It's the relationships you build along the way.
That's right.
Because you can, you may have one thing one day, and then down the road, you'd be like, hey, good to see you again. What are you doing now? And you're like doing something totally, completely different. But you've established that relationship. And now you may be in the position to help one another.
That's right.
So don't close your doors all the way. Keep them halfway open, because you never know who's going to step through it again.
100%. I mean, it's just like what we were saying with networking. I mean, it's about the person that you're in touch with, right? It's not just about the industry or what it is that their service is. You want to know that person. And so I appreciate that. Maybe I'm barking up the right tree here having a podcast, but I'm glad to be developing
You're doing the right
these
thing. This is an amazing show. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. Absolutely. And I'm glad that we're growing this relationship as well, man. I really appreciate it. So you mentioned Mo Cisse earlier, Javon Reyes out there as well. I really, these are the owners of Meraki Allure, and I really want to know, because this is Meraki season, we've been asking a lot of folks that are involved with those guys what your Meraki is. And you understand Meraki to be, things that you have passion for, what it is that's, in you, that you do with love and passion.
Yeah. So when I asked Mo, what is Meraki? He's like, you have to know your Meraki. It's not a thing or it's a passion.
Right.
So your Meraki, the answer to that question could be different for everybody.
Yeah.
And so meeting Mo and understanding his Meraki was just amazing, and such an impact on how I view the fashion industry now too, because he's such a conscious entrepreneur and really educated and empowered me. And we've grown together, become really good friends. But my Meraki has to be, just giving a hand up. Nobody wants a hand out. And elevating my community to be in a better place, a higher quality of life, sharing the resources and relationships and tools that I have, because at the end of the day, you can't take to your grave with you, So what will be your legacy? And my legacy will be my Meraki of really making an impact and helping those underserved, marginalized, and inadequate individuals that never thought that they'd be where they are today, and just helping elevate that to the next level, whatever that may be.
100%. I love that. It's I couldn't have said that any better, man. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks, Mo.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just talk. We're going to talk about the business lesson of the day, guys. William said it. Your net worth is your network, and you are the average of the 5 people in your circle. Now, William is a very busy man, but always open for consultation. Please search him, find him on LinkedIn at W. Peetoom, Peetoom.
Yeah, you can Google me too. I'm all over the internet.
Yeah, you are.
YouTube, I got a lot of explainer videos there. So if you have an inkling of your business being qualified for tax incentives, Google, or actually YouTube search Kaizen Group International, my name, and then you'll see a number of 2-minute explainer videos that talk about the various industries and where the R&D is and how we can help.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Please like and subscribe us on @SameBizPod, SameBizPod, and at A Different Day Radio. Don't forget to comment and hashtag Meraki Season, MERAKI Season. And speaking of Meraki Allure, we have a huge announcement coming soon, guys. So we'll let you know as soon as we're allowed to let you know. That's a little teaser for you. I want to thank you all for listening, and thank you all for your support. Thanks again, William.
Thank you, Zeke.
All right.